Hello everyone, in this video I'm gonna show you how to use some basic Linux commands. First I want to see my operating system version, so I can use the cat command to see the content of a file. I will use the cat and then the file is located under etc and the file name is os-release, and I can see that the operating system name is Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.8. Also, I can use hostnamectl command to see that the operating system is Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.8. This is the kernel version and so on. Alright, I'm going to clear this screen. Next, I want to see if I am part of an administrator group or if I am an administrator. Very basic command who am I will give me the ID of my user. Then I can use the ID command to see the user ID and group ID and so on. For the root user, which is known as the administrator of Linux, get the user ID 0, and I am not the root user. By the way, the root user is disabled by default. Also, I am not part of a sudoer group. I can see that the only group I am a member of is the same as my username. I can use the groups command as well to see the list of groups where I am a member. I can try to execute the sudo command to see if I have the privilege like an administrator. I can use, for example, sudo and then user add. It's asking for the password, so I type in my password and it says this user is not in the sudoers file. That means I am not a sudoer. So in conclusion, I can say I am not in the admin group. I'm gonna clear the screen. Next, I will briefly discuss the folder structure or directory structure in Linux. In Linux, the root of the directory hierarchy is represented with a / and it's called system root. Under this system root, there are many folders. Some of the folders are shown here. One of the folder is home directory or home folder, and then under home folder each user in the system gets a folder by their username. In this example, user 1 is a user and user 2 is another user, and they both have folders under the root and home directory. Also in this diagram, user 1 has 3 folders: desktop, documents, and music. There are many other folders and subfolders that are not shown here for simplicity. Now I can go from one folder to another by using the cd command in the command line. So let's go to the command line or terminal. From this terminal, it's not visually obvious where I am currently located. In Windows system, we can visually say where I am currently located in the file system. But in Linux, I can use a command pwd present working directory to see where I'm currently located. I can see I'm under root, home, and then my username. So I'm under root, home, and my username. So I am inside my username folder, and that is called the home directory of a user. If user1 logs in, the user1 will be under root, home, and then user1 folder. I can move to other folder and subfolder. For example, if I want to go back one step to the home directory, I can use the cd space ... and I did move to home folder. To see that, I can use pwd command again, and I can see that currently I'm located in the home folder, which is under root. If I want to see what other folder or subfolder are under this home directory, I can use a command called ls, and that shows all the folders under home directory. This folder names matches the usernames under the home directory. To go into any of this folder, I can use the cd command again. For example, there is another folder with a little bit different username. I can try to go into that folder, and it says permission is denied because currently I'm not using this username. I'm using this username, so I can go to this folder. I can type in part of the folder and then use the tab on the keyboard to fill up the rest of the folder name and press enter. Now I am inside this folder. Okay, pwd, that shows I am under root, home, and then my username folder. I'm going to clear this screen. Next, I'm going to use the help command in Linux. The help command in Linux is called man, is for manual. So if you want to get help of a command such as mv command, which is for move, I use the command man and then mv. If I scroll up, man mv will give me the manual of this mv command. Here it says the command name is mv, which is for move or rename files. There are some example use of mv command. For example, mv, which is for move, then source and destination. This will rename the source file into the destination file name. If I use mv and then the source and a directory after the source file, then this will move this source file to a directory. I can press enter and keep going down, and that is the end of this page. So I use the Q key on the keyboard to exit from here. Next, I'm going to show you how to use Linux variable. For example, I use a variable name, my underscore name, and then put a value by using the equal sign. I'm using my first name and then press enter. So this value has been put into this variable. To use this variable, I have to use a $sign before the variable name, and I can use the echo command and the variable with a $sign, my underscore name. That will echo the value of the variable. So if I press enter, I can see that this variable is holding this value. I'm pressing the up arrow key on the keyboard to go previous commands that I used. So here I pressed twice. First time it repeated this command. Without pressing enter, I pressed the up arrow key again. So it brought me to this command. Now let's say I'm typing my last name, and then press enter. Now use this echo command again to see the variable value, and I can see currently this is the value. If my value has a space in it, then using the variable in this way will not work. For example, let's say I want to put this value and there is a space in between the two words. If I press enter, and then it says command not found. This did not treat my name as a variable, and that's because of this space. To use space in the variable value, I have to use a quotation mark. So I repeat the command, but this time with a quotation mark around the variable value, and then I press enter. Now it took the variable value. If I see the variable by using the echo command, as you notice that I didn't type the $sign with the variable name in the echo command, and it didn't show the variable value. So let's fix this and use the $sign in my echo command. This time it's showing the variable value that has a space in it. So if you do not have a space in your variable value, you do not need to use the quotation mark. But if you do have a space, you need to use quotation mark. Of course, you can use the quotation mark whether you do have a space or not. It will always work. I'm gonna clear the screen. Next, I'm gonna find my current location in the directory structure. So I will use the pwd command. So that says I am under root, home, and my username directory. So this is basically my home directory. Okay. Next, I'm going to discuss the ls command. To see the content of a folder, I can use ls as a command. It will show the files in my current folder. There are no files in the current folder. In fact, there are some hidden files. To see the hidden files, I can use ls and then -a. There is a space after ls. So it's showing the hidden files. If I want to see the files under root usr user directory, then I can use ls and then the folder name. That will show the content of the usr folder. I can see the file list by using a long format. In that case, I will use ls-l and then the folder name. Let's say usr, the user directory. Now it's showing long format with lot more information. These are metadata about each of these files and folders. Similarly, I can see the content on the log folder, which is under var. So I will use the ls command. I want to see in long list format, and then the folder name is var, and inside var log. So that shows all the files and folders that are located inside this log folder. If you look at the first character of each line, you will see either D, which is for directory, and also it's in different color. Here is another, here is another, and then otherwise there will be a dash, which is for files. So if I want to see all the files that ends with, let's say, Z in this var log folder, I can use the same command, but I want to see only the files that ends with Z. So I will use the wildcard asterisk and then the last character as G. So showing all the files. If you look at the file name is 6.log log. log is the end of the file name. Okay. Similarly, if I want to see all the files that starts with G, then I can use G and then wildcard means anything after G. There are no files that starts with G. If I want to see only the files that ends with E, I can use asterisk and then E. So it's showing two files, 1 and 2. Next, I'm gonna create a file by using VI editor. I will clear the screen and then I will use the VI editor. So VI and then name of the file. I can also include the name of the folders where this file will be created. For example, I can say home and then my own home directory, which is ds_null.via, and then the file name such as my first file. This will create a file, my first file, under my home directory, and my home directory is this one. Okay. As an alternate, there is a shortcut for home directory. I can use the tilde character on the keyboard. That is the shortcut for home directory. So this will create a file called my first file in my home directory. Now this VI editor is a little bit tricky. It's not a graphical user interface, so you need to know some of the shortcut or command. For example, if I type anything on the keyboard, nothing happens. Okay. I need to go into insert mode. To go into insert mode, I need to press the I key on the keyboard. And now you can see that this is insert mode. Now I can type into this file. After I finish typing in, I will exit from the insert mode and I will save. To exit, I will press the escape key on the keyboard, the key at the top left corner, and it's called the escape key. And then I am out of insert mode. I will press the colon on the keyboard, that's colon, and then I will write this file or save, so W, and then also I will quit after writing, so Q and then exclamation sign, enter. So the file has been created. If I list the files in my current home directory, I should see the file that I created. Now I can show the content of the file, my first file, by using the cat command. So I will use the cat command space and then the file name. Note that if I do not use the file name exactly as it is, that means in terms of uppercase and lowercase, then it will not be able to find the file. In other words, Linux is case sensitive, so I have to use exact name, and I will press the tab key to fill up the rest of the file. So it should show the content of the file that I wrote before. As you can see, I did write this information in the file and it's showing the content. if the file name case doesn't match, then it will not be able to find the file. For example, I used lowercase f here, and if I press enter, then it says no such file or directory. That means this file is not found, and the reason is this case of the letter F. If I fix it, it should show the content. I'm gonna clear the screen. Next, I want to find the absolute path of a file. For example, let's say in this diagram, if my file is located under log folder, then absolute path would be root and then var and then /log. Okay. To see the absolute path of a file, I can use the command realpath and then the file name. I know the file is located in my current folder, so I will simply use the file name, my first file, and that shows the absolute path, which starts from /home, my username, / the file name. Also, I can use other commands such as readlink -f and then my first file. That also shows the absolute path of this file. Also, if you think about relative path, a relative path in relation to some specific folder. So my first file is located under my home directory. This is my home directory, and the relative file name of my first file is simply the file name itself. Next, I'm gonna list the file in long format, so ls -l and then my first file. If I include the home directory with ls-l, I'm gonna use the shortcut and then enter. This time it's showing the absolute path as well. There are a few other fields in this file list. The first field represents whether it's a file or folder. For a folder, it shows D, a directory, and then you have a group of read-write execute, another group of read-write execute, and another group of read-write execute. The first set of read-write execute is for the owner, the second read-write execute is for group, and the third read-write execute is for others. Then we have the number of hard links. In this case, it's 1. Then the name of the owner of this file, and then the group of this file, and then the file size, okay, in bytes, and then the last time the file was modified, and then the file path. Next, I'm gonna use a command mkdir or make directory to create folder. So I use mkdir command and then a space. After every command you must have a space. Mkdir and then the name of the directory or folder. Mkdir is for make directory. Now if I simply name the folder, then it will create a folder in my current directory. For example, I say directory 1, it will create this directory 1 in my current directory. If I want to create it in a specific location or directory, then I should specify the location or directory where I want to create it. For example, I want this directory 1 to be in my home directory. Doesn't matter where I am currently located, so I can use the home shortcut and then / directory 1. This will create directory 1 under my home directory. Okay, now if I list the files and folders in my current directory, then I can see directory 1 is a folder and my first file is the file that I created before. Okay, next I'm gonna use the copy command. The copy command is simply cp, it stands for copy, and then the source file and destination file. I'm gonna copy my first file from my home directory into this directory. So use my first file. I'm copying this file into the destination. Since my destination folder is within my current directory, I can simply mention the destination directory, and then I can also at the same time give a new name of this file that will be copied. Okay, for example, my first copy. If I list the files and folder in my current directory using ls command, I still see my original file in here. If I want to see what is inside this folder, I can say ls and then name of the directory. See my first file copy. This is the file that I copied from this file. Okay, my first copy is exact same copy as the original file, my first file. So let's see the content of this my first copy file. I can use cat command to show the file which is located inside this folder. So I can say in the directory folder and then the file name my first copy. Okay, so this will show the content of this file from this directory. I could include my home directory here as a shortcut, or I may not include it because I'm already in the home directory. Okay, so if I press enter, I can see the content the same as the original file. I can also go into this directory by using the cd command, cd directory 1. If I use pwd command, that will show where I am currently located. If I list the files, I can see my first copy is in the directory 1 folder. Now if I want to show the content of this file from here, simply I can use the cat command and then the file name. It's the same file as the original. I'm gonna clear the screen. Next I'm gonna use the grep command, and then let's say I wanna find any line that has the letter N. I want to search into my first file. I am currently located in directory 1 folder, but I want to search the file that is not inside directory 1. In that case, I can start from my home directory and then my first file. Okay, as you can see, it did search in the file and found a line that has the letter N. Similarly, if you want to find any line that has any specific letter or a word or part of word, you can use grep command. Next, I'm going to use find command, and I want to search the log folder under var, which is under root. So I will use find root var log. Now I typed in tab key on the keyboard. After LO, when I type in tab key on the keyboard after LO, there are more than one options, such as local, lock, log, lost plus found. So the system could not determine which one I want to use. That's why it did not pick up log, but it showed me all the options that starts with LO. So if I type in G here, and the only option with LOG is this one. So if I press tab key, it will complete the rest of the folder name. In this folder, I want to find files. So the type will be F, and the size of the file would be more than 1 megabyte. So let's say size is more than 1 megabyte. Now the result shows permission denied, and there are some folders in the log folder. There are some subfolders such as private, HTTP, and it did try to go into those folders as subfolder to find files that are more than 1 megabyte. But it could not go into there because permission denied. Also, no files are found in the log folder that has more than 1 megabyte in size. Next, I will create a hard link in my directory 1, and that will link to my first file. Currently, I'm located in directory 1. I can exit from directory 1, or I can stay in directory 1. Now, to create a hard link, I will use the ln command, and then the source. The source is the file, my first file, which is located in my home directory, and that will create a hard link inside my directory 1. So I type in directory name, directory 1, and then the name of the link, my first hard link. Okay, that did create a hard link to my first file, which is located in my home directory. The name of the link is my first hard link. Now I can list the file, my first hard link, inside directory 1, or I can go into this directory, for example cd directory 1, and if I list the list of files, I can see my first copy that I copied before, and my first hard link is referring to the file, my first file that is located outside directory 1 but in my home directory. Sorry, here I can see that there was a typing error in the name of the hard link. I missed the letter T. I'm gonna create this hard link again by using the similar command now, ln command, and the source file is not located in my current directory, so I'm going to use absolute path, which is my home directory, and then my first file. I can simply use the link name, hard link name, as I'm already in directory 1, or I can use absolute path. Absolute path would be home directory and then directory 1, and then the name of the link, my hard link. Okay, if I look at the list of files in current directory, I can see that the copy is there, my first hard link is also there. Okay, now if I want to show the content of my first hard link, I can use cat command and then my first hard link. that is showing the content of my first file. I never created another copy of my first file in the name of my first hard link, but I created a link, okay, to this file, and I can use that link to refer to the original file. I'm gonna long list my first hard link. It has a couple of fields here. The very first one is represent whether it's a file or a folder. It's referring to a file represented by a dash, okay, and then read, write, execute for the owner of this link or file. There is no execute permission. Here I have read, write for the group and read permission for others. No write permission and no execute permission. As you can see, there are 3 links to this file. One was the file itself, another was my first without T hard link, and then my first hard link. Okay, so there's 3, and then the owner and group, and then the size of the file. Last it was modified, and then the name of the file or hard link. Okay, hard link is similar to giving another name to the file, and you can use the link instead of the actual file. Again, to show the content of the hard link, I can use cat command. Okay, I will exit this folder by using cd space dot command. So I'm back to my home directory. Next, I'm gonna give permission to a specific user to a file by using set file access control list. So the command is set FACL. ACL is for access control list, and then I am modifying, so -m for the user. I'm giving the user M Michael, okay, and then comes the permission. I'm giving read permission on the file that is located in my current folder, and so I can type the absolute path, or I can type the file name, my first file. Okay, there was no error message. That means the command was successful. This user will be able to read my first file. If I try this same command with a parameter that does not match with existing system, for example, if I give a wrong name to the file, then it won't work. As you can see, no such file or folder exists because I typed the name wrong. Okay, again, if I keep the file name correct and then do something else, for example, let's say a user rule that doesn't exist, then it is gonna try to find this user, and then it says invalid argument near the character 3. So basically it did not find this user in here. It's an error message. In the first case, you saw that there was no error message. That means the command was successful. Okay, and in two other cases, I typed in something that's invalid, and that's why I got error messages. That is gonna be all for today. Thank you for watching.